Hey everyone, and welcome to the Loop Road Disc Golf Course. This is the drone overview. Wanted to give you a quick overview of the course. So you just saw hole 1 thrown down to the creek. Hole 2, you're throwing into a fenced-in dog area. So the goal is you have to throw it inside the fence for your first shot to be good. If it doesn't land at the fence, it plays as a hazard. And so this is a fun one that tests your ability to be accurate. Hole 3, you're throwing through a fairly narrow gap here, so you're throwing from basically where the fence is on the other side and kind of going through this gap. It kind of weaves through and then kind of opens up as you get through. You have one final tree that you need to get around, and the basket is on the top of the ledge right up here. People have said this is one of the more challenging ones. Hole 4, you are throwing across the driveway. The driveway does play OB throughout the entire round, so you're throwing across the creek, as you can see right here, and then the basket is in a grouping of trees that you'll find right here on the right. This is probably one of my personal favorites to play. Hole 5, you're going to be throwing back across the creek. So you just threw, and then you're going to be throwing back across. And this one you're throwing into a grouping of trees that's pretty close to the driveway, but you remember the driveway's OB, so make sure to be a little bit short of that, so that way your shot doesn't end up going OB. For hole 6, you're throwing from across the road, and you obviously, the road is OB, the driveway's OB, and you want to go through these grouping of trees, and you're throwing to that same basket you just threw to, but you obviously have a different tee position, so that makes it a little more exciting. And then moving on to hole 7. Hole 7, we're throwing over the fence, and we have a small alley that you can kind of throw through right here. Par 3, 188, throwing to that first basket that you threw to on the first hole. This is one of the new holes that we are excited to showcase to you. And then hole 8, we're throwing back across the road, throwing with the creek line. The creek line kind of weaves around. You got to throw through some of this brush right here, and then the basket's right there, right in the corner. And rounding out the front 9, we have a par 3, 202. You're basically throwing from the corner of this fence all the way up to the top of the property. It kind of follows this alley, and you got to go over some of these trees, over a little bit of the wood pile, and it's right on that top landing. So then moving on to the back 9, hole 10 is a little bit of a longer version of hole 1, par 3, 190, and you basically throwing over the driveway, through all these trees, down to the bottom of the creek. I think this one's probably one of the most scenic ones in the course. And then hole 11, this is a brand new hole, so you're throwing basically where that first basket was, and then you're throwing through all this. And the tricky part is on this one, if you land inside the fence, it plays as a hazard. So you're throwing over the fence, and you're throwing right to this basket in the tree line. That's a new one. I'm excited to showcase that one. And then hole 12 is a par 4, first par 4 of the day, 269. Got to throw through a little bit over the creek and some of that brush, and then it keeps going, edging along. So it's kind of a little bit of a longer version of hole 3. So you're just kind of moving along this tree line. Got to throw obviously in between this brush right here and make sure that you get to a good spot. It's a rare birdie to find on this one, but it can be done. It was done at our last tournament. And then hole 13, brand new hole. You're throwing from inside this brush area. Again, has a nice alley. You want to obviously have a pretty big hyzer if you're a backhand righty, and you're going to be throwing to that new basket that's right here, and hoping to get it around this stuff. That's a fun one, just to throw out a big hyzer and let it fade back. And hole 14, we have a new pin placement. So 253, you're throwing up across over the creek, and you obviously need to get over the driveway as well. So you have to decide, do I want to throw short of the driveway, or am I going to try to go big and go over the driveway to get to the basket? Hole 15, throwing all the way across the driveway, and it goes all the way up to that top landing, kind of where that basket was at hole 9. So you obviously want to get all the way up there, and this is another fun one. This is one of the ones that people said they're the favorites from previous years. And then hole 16, this is the big one. We're doing this one as a par 5, 358, throwing from the thick brush. You obviously want to get a shot that lands somewhere around here to give you an upshot to get over the fence, get through all these trees, all the brush, all the stuff, and you want to get through, and the basket's right down here, right by the creek. Hole 17, 2 more to go. This is a repeat hole, so you're throwing with the creek line. You're going obviously through this brush, through the trees, and the basket's kind of right in the corner of there, but you obviously already saw it on hole 8. And then hole 18 is also a repeat hole. So this is the same hole as hole 9. You're throwing from basically the corner of the fence, going through this narrow alley, and you get to go all the way up to the top landing over the wood. And so this is the course. This is my own personal home course that I created at my own personal residence, and we'd love to have you play it.